Looks like Ira coming on now.
All right, it looks like we have everyone. So I hereby call to order the January 21st, 2021 Town of Frisco Planning Commission meeting. Cheryl, will you please call roll?
Commissioner, excuse me, Commissioner Gleason,
Here.
Commissioner Lesnes,
Here.
Commissioner Franken,
Here.
Commissioner Tane,
Here.
Commissioner Withrow,
Here.
Commissioner Stabile,
Here.
and Commissioner Scupion is out tonight, so she is absent.
Thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl went ahead and distributed the January 7th, 2021 meeting minutes. Are there any comments or corrections to be made?
No.
I move the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Well, we will open the public portion of tonight's meeting. If there's anybody from the public that would like to discuss any items that are not on tonight's agenda, please raise your hand now. I am seeing none. It looks like everyone's here for the agenda item, so we will close the public portion and move on to the first agenda item, which is planning file number RZ-20-0182, a final public hearing on a rezoning application to change the zoning classification for the property located at 18 and 68 School Road, Lot 1, St. Anthony Medical Campus, from Light Industrial District to Mixed Use District. Applicant Traditional Neighborhood Developers, LLC, representing Shintora. All right, we'll turn over to Bill.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So as you stated, this is a final public hearing of a rezoning request. The preliminary public hearing was at your last meeting, which was on January 7th. And at that meeting, we discussed the application. We also discussed some logistics in terms of process, specifically highlighting that site plan application, development applications for a future project cannot be reviewed at this time, but we do anticipate something coming soon. You did hear from the applicant and representatives from Centura, kind of highlighting what their desired outcome is from this rezoning. And then there was quite a bit of discussion about that as well. So for the rezoning itself, staff is still recommending approval. We highlighted in your staff report that we believe there are 2 of the 4 rezoning criteria that this application meets. One of those being that's in the public interest, as well as encourages development and redevelopment of the site. At your last meeting, we talked about historic, current, and future uses of the property are more consistent with the MU district than the LI district. We also talked about this being a bit of a transition zone between the commercial properties to the north, closer to Summit Boulevard and Main Street, along with the residential and the school in the area. And we also discussed how there are other properties here in this neighborhood along Summit Boulevard that have a similar MU zoning or an MU underlying zoning. And then we also highlighted some of the elements of the community plan that this project is consistent with. So staff is recommending approval of the application. Your role in this review is to make a recommendation to council. So we're recommending that you recommend approval. And there's a proposed motion on the last page of your staff report. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Great. You know, I can do this traditional and ask each of you individually, or simplify it if you have questions. If you want to just raise your hand and I'll call on you. I'm seeing no questions for staff. Oh, Ira.
I couldn't let you off that easy.
All right, good for you.
So I understand this part of the process, we don't look at any architecturals or site plans in it. This is just strictly about the rezoning. So their intent clearly has been stated to be able to build housing. Is it of any of our concern or interest that whatever they develop a certain percentage, they commit to building housing and not retail or something? I mean, because it seems to me from the zoning with the multi-use, the mix of what they build is sort of up to them. Is that correct?
It is to a degree, in that with the mixed use district, there's a minimum 20% requirement for either residential or commercial. So at a minimum, to do something as a permitted use, it'd have to be an 80-20 split. It could be more than that. It could be a 70-30, a 60-40, 50-50, but you are going to get a mixture of residential use and commercial use. The exception to that is a conditional use permit approval by the Planning Commission. So if they wanted to propose a strictly commercial redevelopment of the existing blue roof building, that would need to come before Planning Commission to get a conditional use permit.
And that's how that building existed till now with conditional use. Wasn't that part of the notes I was reading?
Yes, it was a conditional use, but a conditional use for a different reason.
Right.
Under the light industrial district, medical offices, based on some code amendments from about a year ago, maybe 2 now, are allowed as a permitted use on the second floor and above. However, they are a conditional use on the ground floor. So that building came before Planning Commission as a conditional use because of the medical office use on the ground floor of the building.
Okay. And the newly built building, the medical building that's built, that's part of the use of this property, correct?
That's correct. It's
And
all
that-
lot for zoning purposes.
And that building, if we look at it, its use is 100% commercial?
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Ira. Robert, I saw you had a question for staff.
Just real quickly, Bill, have you done any calculation to figure out on the 80-20 whether there's any limitations in how much they build on the property base? I mean, we talked last time about how many units they could put up theoretically, but how does that fit with the 80-20 rule, given the fact that there's a fairly large commercial piece of property on that property already? So that takes care of the commercial side of it. So what does that do for the residential side?
I would suspect if the existing building was factored in as the 20%, I don't know that it's feasible to put 4 times that amount of volume of construction on this site for residential to get to 80. You're going to run into building height limitations, lot coverage limitations, parking requirements, landscaping requirements, a lot of other factors before you could ever quadruple that square footage in a residential development on this site.
So it's more than likely going to be something like 50-50 or something in commercial residential.
Yeah, I would suspect it'd be more towards the 80% commercial and 20% residential potentially.
Okay.
But that just depends on where they want to go with their project.
Okay. It's just helpful to know. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other questions for staff? My question would be, the current site with the medical building, do they have an abundance of parking that they would potentially use some of that parking lot for this new project? Or are they kind of right at their parking needs there?
I believe there's a few spaces of surplus with that project. We're discovering there may be a discrepancy between what's striped out there and what the plans show. So we're verifying that with the applicant. They'll have to go out and verify that on site. There is a provision in the town code that allows for a parking reduction for mixed use shared parking scenarios. However, that's not a by right reduction. That's something that I'd have to come by before the Planning Commission, and it would have to be justified by a traffic study from a qualified engineer.
So for that parking reduction, does that mean like, hey, we've got half of the uses here that only park during the day, but they're gone at night kind of thing? Is that what that?
It is. And I believe that's capped at 20% of the parking requirement. So there is some maximum thresholds involved in that per the code. But again, that would be based upon an analysis by a qualified traffic engineer and then at the discretion of the Planning Commission to review such a request, if they chose to do that.
Great. That's all the
It
questions.
applies to a variety of development projects in town, but it's explicitly permitted to be requested in the mixed-use district.
Is that something we did or considered over kind of in Mount Royal Plaza there with 10 Mile coming in? Was that kind of part of the
Mount
discussion?
Royal Plaza was actually a unique situation where I think that dated back, and I'm going off the top of my head here, early 90s. That block was essentially master planned, and they designed the parking, and then they allocated future building square footage based upon the parking they had constructed at the time.
Okay.
The 10 Mile Music Hall, that was a use that could have been implemented back in the early 90s, obviously never was. So there was a set number of parking spaces allocated to that lot within that block because of that previous site plan development.
And then just part of the discussion, we were saying, well, none of these other businesses are even open when 10 Mile is open per se. Got it. Wonderful. Well, that's all the questions I have. We'll turn it over to the applicant. Melissa, if you have more to share with us this evening, take it away.
All right. Hey, everyone. Good evening. Really good to see you. We don't have a whole lot to add. I think that Bill, once again, really summed it up, the benefits of this rezoning application. And, really, I wanted to thank you for your thoughtful feedback at the last meeting. It's already starting to guide the discussion for the development itself. So things like the parking, the traffic analysis, we have engaged FHU, who did the traffic study for the previous development, to come on board for this project as well. So they'll be taking a really close look at all of that here shortly. So other things, location for housing, proximity to the highway, how it interacts with neighbors, things like that are all on our radar. So thank you for those comments. I just wanted to point out Ronnie Pelucio is here, who is our architect on our team, and you guys are going to see more of him in the months ahead. And I also wanted to recognize Lee Boyles, CEO of Centura, and Cindy Farnsworth of HR. And I don't know if you all want to say a few words, but you're welcome to, and we'll take any other questions that you have.
I don't have anything to add, Melissa. I really just echo your comments and appreciate the feedback as we kind of begin this process. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Lee. Cindy, you're okay.
Nope, I have nothing else to add other than appreciation for your time. Thank you.
And I also just wanted to echo, thank you for the comments. That was very productive. And I, as Melissa said, we're already starting to kind of infuse some of the thoughts that I think were shared, in particular about the locations of buildings in relationship to the property corner. And I believe that maybe both Andrew and Patrick expressed certain ideas about that, which we're picking up on. And I hope to share with you guys, in the near future, how the site planning, might unfold.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ronnie. We'll open it up for questions for the applicant. I'm just going to kind of, if you have questions, raise your hand, seeing that it seems like everyone's kind of got it. Ira, take it away.
Well, I just wanted to hear that, Ronnie is here and Cindy. So I just wanted to see what is your intent on the new construction? Is your intent that 100% of the new construction would be residential?
I think maybe I can jump in if you'd like. It's likely that there's two phases of construction. The phase that we're looking at immediately is 100% residential. The remaining parcel, we're really trying to be considerate about how that could be, a valuable piece of, development associated with this property. I'm not sure what Centura's intention is there. But I hope that in the process we can demonstrate where, a hypothetical building and its parking might be situated on this property in another iteration yet to come, which I'm not sure when and if that would happen. But the first thing that you'll be seeing from our team is 100% residential. I'm excited again. I'll share with this in greater detail with you as it unfolds.
Okay, thank you.
Andy?
Hi, Melissa. A quick question. I don't know if this is more appropriate for Bill or not, but I was just looking at the different setbacks that you guys are basically biting off for yourselves with the change in zoning. And the new zoning, the mixed use, gives you a 20-foot setback off of the front yard. Do you know which direction you're going, Bill? Do they have a choice of which they're going to call front yard on this one because it's technically a corner lot? Or can you guys help me with that, like where you're going with the front yard setbacks?
So per our code, when you have a corner lot, the designation of the front is at the choice of the property owner. As part of the medical office building project, they designated School Road as the front.
Okay, so that's already been
consistent for this future project as well. That front setback has been designated on School Road.
Okay, I was just curious about that. I saw that change in setbacks. That was all I had. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? I'm seeing none. Thank you so much to all of you. We'll open it up at this time for any additional comments. Anybody likes to make some comments? Patrick.
So I just want to re-echo a couple of things that I said before. I mean, this is a really important parcel. I know that myself and my fellow commissioners are chomping at the bit a little bit to get into the details of what will come. It's hard to divorce ourselves sometimes from zoning versus the actual construction and the codes that go with both. You know, I would put it out there that this site to me we just talked about the front door, but it has pretty much no back door. It's highly visible from everywhere as far as I can tell, given the siting of I'll call it the phase 1 development. So that's going to be really interesting to see how it evolves. I know that my fellow commissioners are also very concerned always about, you know, things like trash and parking and, you know, what's left, where's that going to be? So I would urge the applicant just to consider those. And then I want to go back to something that I said before that, you know, for me, I'm in support of this because I don't see it as a light industrial use in any way, shape, or form. We have a better chance for Frisco to evolve in this particular location as an MU. So, and as a healthcare facility, as an outpatient-based destination, to me, this makes sense. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Andy?
Sure, I'll just piggyback on that. You know, same as the last time, I think this is a great project. I think that, you know, I really tried to look at it with respect to the uses that are allowed on the site today and uses that would be allowed with this zoning change and removed from the residential housing or whatever it is you guys decide to do. It still seems like this is a better site suited to the mixed use district. So I'm in favor of that, as Patrick alluded to. I'm super curious. Over the past couple of weeks, I've come up with a lot of questions and I'm super curious about the next phase. Really curious to see what happens there. And certainly we're all going to be paying real close attention to that. But as far as the zoning change, I definitely feel like this is kind of a no-brainer. It definitely feels more suited to the MU than to light industrial. So I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, Andy. Robert?
Yeah, I also am in favor of this. I think that Centura working with us and building the building that is now on the site, they did such an amazing job in working with us that I trust that they'll be as easy to work with as we get to this next phase. I am curious to see how they're going to split this into a phase 2 and then with phase 2 being what's coming up and phase 3. And I'm a little curious to see what piece of this isn't going to get built right now. But I think, as everybody else has said, I think it's much better. It's a prime piece of property coming into the town. There are other pieces of property that we hopefully will be able to take care of one day that are also part of our front door. But I think that that given what Centura is to this community, I think it's going to be an important improvement, and the housing for them and for us will do nothing but improve our healthcare in this town. So I'm very supportive of where we're going.
Thank you, Robert. Lena, anything for final comments?
No, I don't think I have anything to add. I echo everybody's comments. I mean, I guess the only thing, I'm in support of the change in the zoning, and I hope that we get workforce housing out of this, like you're thinking of doing today. So I hope that pans out, and I can't wait to see the details of what that looks like. So that's all I have to say. Otherwise, I'm in support.
Thanks, Lena. Ira, any additional comments? Are you? Ira, anything else, or are you good? You're good? All right. I'd echo everyone that I do have concerns about, traffic. If this project looks anything like the medical office that was built, I think it's going to be beautiful. I am so excited to live in a town without a blue roof. But I do think that you've got a great team. I know Melissa cares so deeply about Frisco and its future. And I know that this project's in great hands. So I wish you all the best. And if we want to, entertain a motion, somebody wants to read that.
I couldn't download the packet, so I don't have it in front of me.
I'll take it. With respect to file number RZ-20-0182, I move that the Planning Commission adopt the recommended findings set forth in the Planning Commission staff report dated January 21st, 2021, and that based on those findings, the Planning Commission recommends to the Town Council approval of the rezoning application to change the zoning classification of 18 and 68 School Road, Lot 1, St. Anthony Summit Medical Campus from Light Industrial District to Mixed Use District.
A second.
Second.
Cheryl,
You
would
can
you
have
take-
it.
Sure.
Commissioner Gleason,
Yes.
Commissioner Lefsmith,
Yes.
Commissioner Franken,
Yes.
Commissioner Tane. Commissioner Tane,
If you just want to nod your head or thumbs up or thumbs down, Ira, that'll work.
Commissioner, excuse me, Commissioner Tane.
Yes.
Like his camera froze. There we go.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Withrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Stabile.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much. And we look forward to seeing you back here with some plans.
All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon.
All right. Be well.
Have a good evening.
Are there any updates from staff?
No, actually, we talked about everything I think last time around. So nothing new in the last 2 weeks.
What
I
about?
have a question.
Yes.
What's going on with the hotel on Lusher Court that we approved quite some time ago that doesn't seem to be doing anything?
That would be the Baymont.
Yes. No,
Yes.
no, what used to be, they were going to become a Fairfield.
Yeah. They had a building permit to do some remodeling, and that building permit has expired. So nothing has happened. They pulled the building permit and did not move forward. So they'll have, I believe, yeah. So we'll see what happens with. I have heard that it is potentially on the market, so we will see.
What's going on with the ice rink in front of the old Rainbow Court? I mean, can we, it's just like, Is anything ever going to come of Winter Properties or whatever it is now?
The Winter Plaza. If Katie's still on, she may have had the most recent conversations with the applicant on that.
Last I heard, they're still moving forward. I had a preliminary meeting with an architect on the west building because they want to try to get that developed in before you. But that was probably about 2 months ago that we heard from them. I did see them out working on it when I was walking by yesterday. So they're doing something, but again, we haven't received an official application for the west building, but I know an applicant is working on it.
And there's just nothing we can do to make like the heart of Frisco not look like a junkyard there.
If it's on the public right away, then Public Works and or police could get involved a little bit. But if it's on their private property and they have the permits for it, it makes it a little more difficult.
Just because I've noticed just the, like, you know, having that huge board up, and I mean, there's just solid ice in front of it because no sun hits it, which, I mean, maybe that just Public Works needs to do a better job of removing the snow, but I mean, I'm frustrated with the project and I know others are.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I think there have been some discussions about opportunities to, if a project does kind of get mothballed, let's say after it's demoed, is there opportunities to beautify the site? Right now, there's nothing in our code that would allow us to do that, but that is something that I had a discussion with Public Works on a few months ago, specifically related to that particular property.
And what about vistas on Granite?
Which one?
The one on
That one, it has a new name, just so you know, but it's still the same project, obviously. So you'll hear it called something else as it gets built now. The owner picked a new name. They got the official address. But it is under building permit review. Building and planning have been going through some little revisions to make a unit accessible. And so in order to meet the building code. So it's been in for a building permit for a while, but it hasn't quite met the code to get approved. So, but they are moving forward still.
Robert?
And are we going to see anything out of the historic survey that was just released? Is that headed our direction, or is that going to be solely a town council decision? Are we going to put in place some positive recommendations about keeping some of our historic projects? I mean, where are we at with that?
So, and Susan, I see is looks like she's still on the call. She kind of worked on finalizing that report, or is working on finalizing that report. If the council directs staff to start working on code changes that would do some of the things that you just mentioned, Robert, yes, then certainly town or your planning commission would have some input into that. Right now, as of now, planning commission has not, or I'm sorry, town council has not given us any direction to do so. Susan, do you have anything to add, or if anything, give a reference to where that survey is located and the next steps in it?
Yeah, definitely. So the survey, there's 2 pieces. There's the report, and then there's the individual property forms. And there's a website or a web page on our website. I can email a link to everybody if you want.
It's really well done.
Okay.
It was an amazing, both pieces are really, really well done.
I enjoyed reading it myself, actually. I thought it was super interesting. I emailed some of the quotes out to the rest of our staff just because I found it really interesting.
The sad part would be to see some of those properties disappear. And I know there've got to be considerations for having them disappear because those are valuable pieces of property.
And I think that that's kind of where the survey brought us to, is just saying, here's what we have. And the next step has to be sort of gauging our community's interest in preservation or incentives or moving forward. So I guess I would hope it kind of starts a conversation about where we would like to go next. But I haven't gotten that direction yet from town council, as Dawn mentioned. So hopefully that'll be forthcoming.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
One quick question. what's going on with the transit center? Looks like they're about wrapped up with their site work. Are they gonna actually start? I know it's not a town project, but maybe you know somebody over there at the county. Is that gonna go forward this summer? Are we gonna see construction on the building? Or did they find their money? Do we have any updates on that?
Last we heard, they did find the money to keep moving forward, but I don't think that we've seen any plans for it yet.
Well, didn't they get it? Don't they have it?
We approved plans.
Sorry, yeah, for the planning did, but I don't think they've received their building permit yet.
Okay, so we
No.
may not see it again if they go ahead with the approved plan.
Correct. My understanding is they're going ahead with what you approved.
Okay.
So that's my understanding as of probably 2 months ago, though.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, I have not heard anything, but I'll reach out to Dale Stein, who's their capital projects manager over at the county, just kind of see what the latest timeline is on the transit center.
Yeah, just curious. It's nice to see that they got the site work wrapped up, though.
Lena?
Well, along the same lines, I'm curious, what is getting built next to the building, one of the Larry Feldman projects? There was a house there before, right on the alley, on Galena Alley. There was a house there before, it got torn down, and it looks like, I don't know what they're building there.
A duplex.
This is just a duplex?
Triplex. I think that's actually the 116 Galena project that you saw last or a couple
No,
in
she's
December.
talking about Granite
Granite
Alleyway behind
414
Butterhorn.
Granite Alley,
Oh,
correct.
Like across the alley from Butterhorn and the liquor store?
So that's a duplex, so it didn't need to go to planning commission, but they have a duplex going up on that lot.
Okay,
Oh, those garages are gonna be a treat.
yeah, those are gonna be a treat. And what about Vinnie's? What is the holdup there?
You would probably have to talk to their contractor. They do have an active building permit and have had an active building permit for quite some time. I would have to check with our Rick or Cheryl and see when their most recent inspection was, but it's been just a very slow, long haul. And I'm guessing the urgency decreased a little bit when COVID hit. And
Yeah, I guess you're right, but it feels like they were gonna open 2 years ago.
My intel is just drama with carpenters and electricians and people not getting paid and holding checks kind of debacle is what I've heard on the streets.
Yeah. I will say that the last time I talked to Vinny about it was, probably of May of last year, and he said he was hoping for July 4th. So that's the most recent information I have.
July 4th of what year?
Yeah.
I didn't say.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Looks like we're wrapped up. We got a motion.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good night.